Hey everyone, welcome back to our little interview sessions that we've been doing lately. Being the dork that I am, I decided to focus on Mexico on Cinco de Mayo because why not? And we have got an amazing lineup for you guys today. We have Larry Stebbins, who's the broker of the San Miguel Sotheby's. And then we have Glenn Ehrenberg, who's the director of the Los Cabos Sotheby's. And then we have my favorite special guest, Maru. Maru is actually from the Austin offices, originally from Mexico. And I'm going to let her spearhead this one because she knows way more about Mexico than I ever will. So let's bring them on. Hey, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Buenos dias.
Welcome. Well, welcome, everyone. You know, it's funny, I said everybody's last name, but yours, Maru, because you're just Maru to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got Maru on. So as I mentioned, I'm going to let Maru kind of spearhead this interview because she was born in Mexico and she has the nice honor of being able to help Americans buy in Mexico, and then she helps Mexicans who buy in the U.S. So as Glenn and Larry know, Austin is a huge feeder market into Mexico. It's easy to get to. The climate's relatively the same, but not as miserable here as it is here during the summer. And so a lot of us like to escape down to Mexico. So with that, I'm going to pop off. Maru, I'm going to let you go ahead and take over here, and then I'll pop in from time to time with questions as we go. All righty?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's great to be with you guys talking about all this crazy situation during coronavirus and obviously how it's affecting everybody's market, you know, and so we're intrigued, and I know people are as well, you know, that were looking into maybe buying second homes or third homes, etc. You guys are in amazing destinations for not only Mexicans, but also foreign nationals. So let's talk about how things are going for you and how easy this maybe, you know, obviously we're all dealing with this, but how are you guys dealing with that? How do you see the market in your area? And how easy is it for them to buy still property there? What is the process? Everybody wants to know still. Maybe we can do that as a second conversation, but how do you see the market right now in your areas? Let's start with Glenn.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, right now, obviously, I know that Larry's pretty much the same thing, that we're a second home, vacation home market for the most part. So right now, if we don't have people here, we can't really show properties unless it's virtually. So the market has really slowed down for us. We have a lot of stuff that's sort of closing and in process and getting paid out. But of course, I know we're going to get into a little bit more of how this is affecting us with essential services and that. Mm-hmm. So notaries and catastro and that sort of stuff is having a little bit of difficulty working right now. Luckily, and Maru, you'll have to tell me what the U.S. equivalent is to catastro over there. But basically, they're starting to go online now. So it's really... yeah, we're trying to figure out ways that we can continue to work, and we still do. So I think it's just going to be slow until we can actually get people here, and we don't know when that's going to be.
Do you see, so do you have, in other words, you have the same kind of protocol that we are having here in the US? You know, like it's basically just, I mean, things are changing, but, you know, they consider our services essential. So as realtors, we have to be working. Like we still work and continue to show property with taking, you know, obviously some matters in fact, but things are going well here in Austin. There's a lot of activity. People, it's crazy to believe that the market is really still very active. Of course, even taking those, you know, things in consideration, but more and more people are just, you know, people I guess still have to move, you know, they still have to find, you know, they're moving from other places to work here. It has affected some, and I think it's just a matter of maybe, you know, when it's the hot markets are normally March and April, they're just going to be pushed a little bit later. But I mean, I talked to the title companies and they're still closing. They're still, you know, it's very active. What about you, Larry? in San Miguel?
Well, I think our market is, as Glenn said, it's very similar. We've had a drastic slowdown, and it's the protocol here is very much like it is in the States, like it is in California, for example. We're required to wear a face mask in public. Only one person at a time may go into Costco. So all of those preventive measures are very much in force and effect here. Frankly, and the good news, I think, is Mexico had more time to prepare than other parts of the world did. So we saw what was happening in other locations. And so I think we got ahead of the curve. And for doing that, we're able to flatten the curve. For example, in San Miguel, there's only 7 confirmed cases of COVID virus, and that has been flat for the last 2 weeks. So I think we're making good headway. In terms of our market, it's definitely slowed dramatically. We're just not getting the people to come to town. And, we have a lot of buyers that come for the first time to San Miguel, and it's such a seductive, magical place. It's not unusual that we have clients buy their first week here. First time they've come to San Miguel, and they decide this is where we want to retreat to. And I think a lot of us are thinking in terms of retreat. And San Miguel Allende is a perfect place to retreat. And so I'm getting a lot of inquiries. I was a broker in San Francisco for 30 years, so I still have deep roots in San Francisco, and I'm getting a lot of inquiries from California. This week we did our first virtual closing. The seller was in Florida. The buyers, one of whom is a nurse, so they're in New Orleans, and he's on the front line of the COVID virus. I have not seen the property. One of my agents presented the property by video, did a video tour. They made a full price offer. We're closing on Friday using power of attorney. Neither the seller or the buyer are here. And frankly, the buyers probably won't be able to come until, who knows, but probably July or August at the earliest.
Right.
So
and Larry,
it's a new time. We need to find new ways to work.
Well, and Larry, you actually touched to the point I was about to pop on and ask about the virtual showings. Have you guys, and you too, Glenn, have you guys been utilizing that technology? Larry, it sounds like you have, but in Cabo, have you guys been doing a lot of virtual showings or?
Yeah, so actually what we've been doing is, the problem obviously is that there are safety measures in place that we are following to the T, because as Larry said, the whole purpose is to flatten the curve. So what we'll do is we'll only allow the agent of the property to go to the property and either do, a live virtual tour, or they film their own tours and then we edit them and upload them to our YouTube page, and this sort of thing, with the Sotheby's corporate helping us so much in pushing this whole virtual open house presentation. It's been really helpful. So, for us right now, as Larry was saying, our measures are 1 person per vehicle allowed right now. So it really limits, what we can do, but it's a positive thing because I think actually Cabo is a really calm place. Everything is going really well. And I actually have been finding out that a lot of the owners of some of our major properties are here. So it was hard for me to even get this home. Luckily, the owner of this one has another property. But we've seen that a lot of people, and I think maybe these are the inquiries that Larry's getting as well, is people really love Mexico, and San Miguel and Cabo, I think, are the 2 strongest markets for Texas. Probably our main feeder markets are Texas and California. We have a lot of Texans here right now spending quarantine in their homes with their families, and I think this is all about lifestyle, what we're looking for now in the sort of reframing of the world. We live in a new world and we value new things. So I think Mexico is a great option, especially places like San Miguel, like Cabo, which are 2 very different markets, but still attract the same type of person.
Well, and Daraj has a comment, and it's kind of long, so I didn't want to pop it on the screen. He asked if there is a conditional contract with clauses post-inspection of the property, or is it defined just sale closing? inspections are waived. Like Larry, in your instance, the person who bought sight unseen, was there an inspection process?
Yeah, definitely there was an inspection, and the inspector took photos and shared those photos with the buyer, and the buyer and the inspector had conversations by telephone. So there was an inspection contingency. What we usually do within our contracts, it varies depending on the price of the property, but we usually say within the contract that the buyer will be responsible for the first $1,000 or $1,500 of repairs. Anything beyond that will become a point of negotiation. And then if the buyer and the seller cannot come to a meeting of the minds, the buyer will get their deposit fully refunded minus the cancellation fee charged by the escrow company, which is $300. So we have solid protection for the buyer. When we opened Sotheby's, I came here from California, and so my way of doing business is very much the San Francisco style. And that was the only way I knew of doing business. So we basically replicated that style of business here. And I think that's really led to our success. Our buyers are 85% Americans. And so when they come here and we tell them how we conduct business, they're very comfortable because it's the way they're used to buying or selling property in the States.
That was going to be my question to both of you, because I know that's the big question everybody has now. Is it a good time for people to buy in those places right now? I guess for some people, they might consider this is the time to do this. Maybe some people are just nervous. People, since
Right.
really knows what's going to happen. Do you think this is a good time? Have you seen any changes in the market? More interest of people demanding the same questions?
I'm seeing a stronger national market. Recently, we've put several high-end properties, luxury properties over 2.5, into escrow in the last couple of weeks, and those are national Mexican buyers. So I've seen more Mexican buyers coming in. I think one of the cultural differences is Mexican buyers tend to be more aggressive in their negotiating style, and so I think they're seeing this as an opportunity. In the last 10 years, we've never had such great inventory of properties available, and prices are frankly down. We have many sellers that are at a certain point in their age where they want to sell for health reasons. They want to return to their family, their grandchildren. And so part of the sales cycle here is older people want to sell. And so 100,000 more or less is not going to change their life. They want to get on with the rest of their life. So I think it's a great time to buy. I think we're in a market where it's a tremendous opportunity. We've got lots of inventory. We've got motivated sellers. We've got motivated agents. I don't know if this is the bottom of the market. The only way you know that you're at the bottom of the market is in the rearview mirror. So I think it's a great time to buy.
And another interesting question for both of you. Have you seen any, are there mainly people buying resale property, or are there some developments, developments going on in your areas? And
that's probably a Glenn question, right?
Because they're national, or are they local developers?
Yeah, if I can jump in there and I'll add on to the last question a little bit about the market. I think it's really when you're looking at the price point of the market, right? Because we have our, very well-defined luxury market, which I would say is above 2.5, where we have the high-end luxury market. And then anything that's sort of under $1 million, like 750 to 250, I think there's going to be more of a contraction there on the prices just because of the amount of inventory coming online. If anyone watching knows Cabo and they've been here recently, they know how much it's growing. I know it's the same case in San Miguel. There's a lot of growth, and it's particularly very, very high-end luxury developments, a lot of resorts, and a lot of branded resorts. So the thing that's happening here is we also have a lot of inventory in the luxury market, especially from developers. Most of the developers here are American developers. So right now we've either had open or opening one Four Seasons, a second Four Seasons, Soho House, St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton, Montage, Two Auberge, the first Nobu hotel and residences in Latin America. So all these giant corporations aren't going to take a gamble.
Right, exactly.
They know that this is a secure investment. And I think actually what's going to happen is I think right now is the time to buy if you're actually looking for a good return on your investment. And what is that return on your investment? To me, I always go back to lifestyle. You know, are you investing lifestyle dollars or are you investing?
Exactly. I always tell people, don't try to always get the deal, because what if you get a deal that you really don't love? You know, it's like you need to find the perfect property you love.
Yeah, and if I could just add really quick, I think the other thing is that we're going to see a switch from people wanting to stay at a resort and go to the main pool, that kind of thing. So I think a private residence, which sort of has all of those amenities that you could want or need without leaving the home or being on the beach, is absolutely perfect. And on top of that, we also see a lot of vacation rentals for these luxury properties. So I mean, someone could expect, if you're beachfront, to get a 5% return on rentals for the year.
So it's a great investment opportunity right now, I guess.
Absolutely.
Well, and I had a question about that. Actually, Glenn, you read my mind on that. So since you've answered, I'll ask Larry, are you seeing more residential homes, or do people prefer condos or that type of investment?
Most of our buyers at the luxury end, or let's say over 500,000, are looking for a single family home. Part of the San Miguel experience is that it's a walking town, beautiful colonial architecture, very friendly and very easy to walk through. So our most typical request is a house with colonial charm, not necessarily colonial because they cost a premium, obviously, but with colonial charm that's within a 10 to 15 minute flat walk to Centro Histórico. And so that's our most common buyer profile. There are developments, they're not of the same type that Glenn is speaking of. Our condo developments tend to be smaller. They tend to be developed typically by Mexican corporations, and their price point is generally from anywhere from 150,000 to 300,000. So it's definitely more of an affordable lifestyle. They tend to be large with a clubhouse, pool, what have you. We are seeing some luxury high-end hotel companies develop here. Marriott is developing one, Rosewood is here, and they do have a residential component, which is great. Those have typically not been the best sellers for us, though. The people that are coming to San Miguel want what I would say is a more authentic Mexican lifestyle feel. And I think the people that gravitate to San Miguel love Mexico, want more of a cultural experience. And a lot of people choose between, the beach and San Miguel because they're very different in terms of lifestyle, but they both offer a great deal, obviously.
And Maru, before I give it back to you, Daraj had one other question. He said, just out of curiosity, what's your price point correction from the pre-COVID or peak values to where they're trading now?
Well, I could throw out my guess, right? Because we don't have all the data yet.
Right.
But like I said, I think that the contractions will be a little bit stronger in anything 700,000 and below. I think that with the luxury properties, it's gonna really probably maintain its value. And I think after this has happened, it might be a little bit more competitive for those places that are really stellar, And as Larry was saying, I even have a lot of clients who have started going to San Miguel and saying they love it. And they're kind of like, well, maybe we need Cabo for the beach and San Miguel for the culture. But
Exactly.
But I wouldn't expect prices to go down. Like, I could give a better guess for 700,000 and below. I'd probably not guess more than 20% lower.
But 20% is still pretty significant.
Yeah, I wouldn't guess, but yet again, it's still a guess,
Right.
Yeah. There's so much uncertainty that we don't know.
Well, I agree with Glenn. I mean, I think the jury's still out. We don't know what the long-term effects of the COVID-19 virus are going to be to the market anywhere. In terms of valuation, for us, it's more of a location issue. Going back to everybody wants to be within a 10-minute walk to Centro Histórico. I think for trophy properties that are in prime location, prime condition and presented well, I'm not seeing much depreciation at all. Now, for properties that you have to drive to that are 10 or a 15-minute drive from San Miguel, I wouldn't be surprised to see a 25% reduction in those prices. So I think it depends on the price point and the location.
I totally agree, Larry.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I'm on the same page with you there. I think, like you said, the trophy properties, like for us, it's not like a central downtown that you walk. It's more of certain areas of the coast and certain developments. So if you're in the right one, I'm not going to see too much depreciation there because people want to be there.
Right. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about before, that Mexico is a retreat. It's it's sort of, in a difficult period of time, given the COVID-19 virus, given the political polarization in the United States, given the growing debt in the United States. I think people are looking to Mexico as sort of a safe haven, a place where they can choose a wonderful lifestyle, incredible weather, beautiful culture. And I think, people with money are going to choose that lifestyle.
I agree with you guys. I think more and more people are realizing what an amazing lifestyle they can have in Mexico. And so for that reason, how easy is it that for people that haven't bought a place in Mexico or maybe haven't even traveled, how easy is it for a foreign national to buy property in Mexico? What is the process for somebody that right now says, you know what, I'm going to buy a second home? What is the process for a foreign national? What are the requirements? And that would help a lot of people just know that.
Let me just sort of jump in there. It's different depending on where you are. In San Miguel, we're more than 100 kilometers from the border and more than 50 kilometers from the coast. So we don't need to buy property in a trust using a fideicomiso.
Fideicomiso, okay.
Exactly. So we buy and sell property fee simple. So the same as in the United States, the property goes into your name, and it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, perfect. So it's different for you, Glenn.
Yeah. So as Larry mentioned, this is always the question that we get because the word fideicomiso is not very friendly and pronounceable to people from the U.S. But really, what it means is a trust. So it's a trust which lasts for 100 years. It's automatic renewal. You could put it into a family trust, and it's basically pretty much the same that a lot of people do buying in the States now. Is through a trust. So it's pretty much.
And just so people know why is properties that are within the border line or in the line? Just so.
Yes, exactly. It's a. I believe the law was put in place, many years ago, as a measure of national security, right? To say, these properties on the coast and on the border where foreign countries could be coming in from should be not held by foreigners. But that is not exactly how it's worked out, because I think it's actually almost safer because it's moved everyone into these trusts, which really secures people's investment in their home,
So how long is the process from start to finish for somebody to buy property in Mexico? How long is here in the U.S., obviously it could take from at least 35 to 40 days is the average from start to close. In Mexico, what is the length of it? What is the process like?
Much longer. Larry, do you want to jump in on how it is in Agave?
Yeah, in San Miguel, it varies. I mean, we've closed deals in as little as 10 days, and we have other deals that, 6 months, usually because the buyer's in some sort of transitional phase. They want to sell a house in the States, or they're retiring, or some other reason. But it varies. I mean, in terms of documentation, all a buyer needs, an American buyer needs, is their tourist visa, which is the little slip of paper you get on the plane. And don't lose that, because the Mexican government will charge you to replace it. It's a great little revenue source. So it's pretty straightforward. The cost of acquisition here in San Miguel is about 5% of the purchase price. And that's paid by the buyer. The seller pays the commission and IVA, which is the value-added tax, which is 6%, 16% on top of the commission. And so, yeah, but it's very straightforward. The notario does the work of the title company here. So the notario is appointed by the governor of the state, and they do the title search and prepare the deed and do all of the paperwork, and they collect basically 1% of the sales price, which is 1% of that 5% that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and for us here, I mean, I would say the same thing as Larry. It really depends on the deal, but I would tell most of my buyers, hey, this is obviously a longer close for the most part than in the U.S. It really depends on the deal, but somewhere around 3 months would probably be the average. And I mean, if it really extends out, maybe a little bit longer, up to 6 months, but that's, certain cases. But really, it is quite an easy process, as Larry was saying.
Do you also have title insurance and all that? Because I've heard that some people, they say, oh, in Mexico it's not necessary, but you hear the comments that it's no matter what, you must get a title insurance. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Well, for us, since the people aren't actually, if you're a foreign buyer, you don't actually hold the title, but it's the fideicomiso. Mm-hmm. It actually really depends on the person if they want to do it. The title insurance is good because they also can do a record search, like mm-hmm. the notario, to make sure there's no liens or issues with the house or owner. So it's a good time to sort of discuss the first right of refusal by the government on certain homes,
And so the government does have that. I wanted to pop in and ask that question. In a lot of the European countries and countries around the world, the government does have that. You mentioned it in Cabo, so I'm assuming the same in San Miguel, right?
No, the government does not have that right. Again, it's basically fee simple ownership, so the individual owns it. There's no first right of refusal. Doesn't exist here.
Yeah. I thought I'd pop this one on. Can you guys see this comment? That was a pretty lengthy one, so I thought I would pop it on the screen. Basically, Daraj is asking what the salient draw for each of your locations is from outside buyers. Is it industry, business, commercial activity, trade? And is there a draw to these locations as a primary home market or typically a second home market for U.S. citizens and others?
Well, let me jump in. I would say that our market is about 50%, 50%. That is 50% second, third, or fourth home, and 50% people that are here full time. We're seeing a real growth in full-time residency here. A lot of that has to do with younger people coming in that can, use technology to work from home or work at a distance. So we've definitely seen our demographic change in the last 10 years to more younger clients and more full-time residents. In terms of the question, the draws are to both places is, I think, just really apparent. I mean, Cabo is fantastic with great weather and beaches and restaurants. And San Miguel, I think, appeals to people that love to live in a foreign country. When you live in San Miguel, you're living in a foreign country, and the diversity here and the richness of history and cuisine and culture, and the weather is fantastic. Our average daily temperature is 75 degrees year round, and we have 300 days of sunshine a year. So the weather is tremendous. We have people from the southern states, Texas, Florida, Arizona, New Mexico, come to San Miguel in the summer to cool off, which is a little bit of an oxymoron. When I first came here, it's like, oh, you're going to Mexico because it's cooler, but that's all.
If they're from Texas, especially, I mean, they'll even come to Cabo, where a lot of maybe the California tourists or the California homeowners won't come as much, but a lot of our Texan owners will come here and spend summer because, hey, at least there's a really nice beach to go sit on, even if it is in the 80s, and summer can get a little bit hot, but today it's 75, just about what Larry was saying. Yeah. And our main draw, going back to the question, it really is mostly a second home market. We're not seeing too many people deciding to switch this as their primary residence, but we have seen some inquiries, especially from a lot of people in California. and that has to do with taxes, right? So they're really looking.
That was going to be my next question regarding taxes. But what draws people to your place, I think they're just both amazing destinations. San Miguel culturally, it's so rich in our culture, and it just attracts, a lot of foreigners that appreciate that side culturally, all the aesthetics of Mexico, really. And I think Cabo is just really a resort destination. I mean, the beaches, they're just, it's amazing. I mean, these are great places for people to buy. And you were mentioning something about taxes. Tell me about taxes, because I think that's also something that's drawing people to Mexico. They're not paying taxes like we are here in the U.S. Correct?
Absolutely. For example, if you buy a house in San Miguel for $500,000, your annual taxes are going to be about $550 to $600 a year, not a month, but a year. That means that you can really maintain a very nice home here for less than $1,000 a month. That includes taxes, that includes utilities. It also includes maid service 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. So the cost of living here is extraordinarily inexpensive when you compare it to Texas or California, where I was paying $30,000 a year in property taxes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably one that a lot of people are shocked by when they're buying here for the first time, and you tell them, oh, this is how much you're going to pay in property taxes a year, and they think, oh, per month, and we're like, no, that's for the whole year.
Exactly. Right. They don't believe that, but it's amazing. That's why I think it's such a great place to buy and have a second home. So
yeah, and I think another thing too that is really great about this, I was reading some analysis that's been put out by destination experts, something like that is what they're called, and they're talking about the number one place that people are going to want to go after COVID. Where can you go after COVID? Right now, 38% is the beach. And then that's followed by smaller towns with cultural appeal and sort of that charm, which would be San Miguel. So they're right up at the top of the list for the type of places that people are looking for. And obviously, the most important thing is knowing that you're going to be safe with the measures that people are taking in terms of cleanliness and hygiene and all of that. And I know that both of our destinations, that's why they do so well, because they know that the standards in Cabo and in San Miguel are so high. And I really think that for Texas and for California, which are our two main markets, it's a quick flight down, 2 hours, I think, from California and about 3 hours from Texas. And if you've got your own jet, even easier.
So are most of your buyers down there, and this was a question from Garage too, are they cash buyers, or is there a loan to value mortgage that happens? Like what's the norm down there?
Yeah, we're in a cash economy here. So 95% of our deals are cash. There may be some seller financing short term for a year, 18 months, 2 years at the most. But by and large, we're a cash economy. A lot of clients pull money out of U.S. investments and buy that way, because the going rate, interest rate here from institutional lenders is anywhere between 10 and 14%. You compare that to 3% on an equity line in California or in the States, and it's a no-brainer that you're going to pull money out of your U.S. assets.
Yeah. Same answer. Same answer.
Well, sounds like Daraj is about to send some clients to you guys, because he's asking, have you seen a lot of Indians there as residents or tourists? And is there an Indian audience there?
Well, I would say that in Cabo, I've definitely noticed it. I mean, I was born and raised here, so I've seen it change throughout the years from when it was a small fishing village when I was born with 4,000 people. Now we have 500,000 in the whole county.
Wow.
So I've seen that change, where it was first the golfers and the fishermen and those people who sort of started coming. And now it's really a world-class destination, attracting people from all over. We've started to see a lot more Russian buyers coming in. Obviously they're not a big percentage of the market, but we noticed that change. Chinese buyers as well. And we are starting to see a few Indian people, but they're mostly not from India, but Indians who grew up in Canada, the US, or Europe. Yeah.
And so are there citizenship? He asked if there are EB-5 laws or some type of citizenship by investment opportunities in Mexico. No.
Not that I'm aware of, yeah.
Nor am I.
Maria, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not aware of that either. I was just,
Great information that I think most people have questions about, because a lot of people, I think, don't realize how easy it is to buy property there and how amazing it is to the upkeep of it. It's like really out of this world. So, if it was me, I would rather buy a second or third home in Mexico. Yeah. Anywhere else, just for the location, just the ambience, and then just the upkeep. It's 1/10 less than it would be anywhere else.
And if I can jump in, I think what Maru's saying is absolutely right. I mean, value for money is incredible. The home that you get, the lifestyle that you get, and the cost. It's almost like a no-brainer in terms of what are you looking for. If you're looking for this lifestyle, well, and you're up there in the luxury market, $4 million in Cabo gets you this home where I'm sitting, and I can do a little spin around at the end and show you the view. But in La Jolla, California, let's see how much $4 million can get you, And even some of these lower price point homes for us, which are like the 700,000 and down, are still great value.
I would agree with what Glenn is saying. I mean, in terms of what you can buy for the money, it's incredible. Coming from San Francisco, it's tremendous. It's basically a third of the price, and the upkeep and the maintenance is 10% of the price. So, the cost of entry is so affordable, and the cost of ownership is so low that it's a no-brainer. It really is. And the lifestyle is extraordinary. San Miguel has been voted the #1 city in the world, I think 3 times, and the #1 city in Latin America like 5 times. So it's an incredible place to live, to thrive, and it's becoming more and more exciting as we become more diversified, both in terms of nationality and in terms of age, what have you. So it's a great spot to live.
It is. Well, thank you. I don't know, Jill, do you have any more questions for them?
Well, so I always end this because I have terrible wanderlust. I'm a big traveler. Like I feel like this world is meant to be visited. So I need you guys to bring some Mexico to me, right? I want to feel your culture. So I like to ask, if I'm visiting, and this is for both of you, where can I go to not be a tourist? Where can I go to get the authentic experience? And then let me know your favorite place to eat. And of course, what is a must-have, either beverage or meal when I visit your cities? Larry, we'll start with you.
Well, there's so many different aspects to San Miguel. In the center of San Miguel, I mean, just to walk the town and walk through the different areas, the neighborhoods, and the different smells, and really feeling like you're in Mexico. There's no question of that. In terms of getaways, I mean, I have clients that own a beautiful ranch and do trail rides, and there's nothing quite as nice as a sunset trail ride through the mountains, through fields of cacti. And it's really an extraordinary thing to do. And they also do nighttime trail rides through the center of town. So for a sense of adventure, there's nothing like going on horseback at night with a group of friends. It's great fun.
The art.
I'm sorry?
The art scene is amazing too.
Yeah. And in terms of food, the food here is really extraordinary. I think there are many traditional dishes here. We were just having chilaquiles for breakfast here at the office a few minutes ago. And of course, you got to have margaritas.
Of course. I know when we talked about doing this on Cinco de Mayo, one of my friends up in Bend, Oregon, who loves Mexico, Dave Holland, he was like, "Are we going to have margaritas?" And I said, "Well, it's at 11 a.m. That might be a little too early." But so the thing that you had for breakfast was what again?
Chiliquillas.
Which is what?
They are basically corn chips, maíz, with beans and a red sauce and queso fresco, fresh cheese. And it's just a very wholesome, high-calorie breakfast, ready to go to work.
To get you through your day. All right, Glenn, so tell us, what do we do in Cabo?
Well, I think chilaquiles are God's gift to us because they are amazing. But apart from that, I mean, really, Cabo isn't known for its cultural beauties. What it's more known for, because like I said, it was just a small fishing village in the 80s and in the 90s. So what we have here, the big draw for us is nature. You know, it's nature, and it's being in this unspoiled beauty and being connected to the ocean. So I would say if you're really going to have the true Cabo experience, I would go out fishing one day, like deep sea fishing. And even if you're not a fisherman, there's some beautiful wildlife to see out there. We just finished our whale season. So all of the humpback and gray whales migrate down here from Alaska and have their babies here in our state. So it's the only nursing ground for these whales in the whole Eastern Pacific. And that's an incredible experience to go out there and see them. I think definitely another thing that is really attractive about Cabo is that you can go right outside of the city and be in a very calm, deserted sort of beach. You can be on your own. And we have this cute little town called Todos Santos. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but it's kind of like a little artsy town right near the ocean, which I think if you want a little bit more of that cultural experience, you can get there. We have a great historic downtown in San Jose del Cabo, because Los Cabos is made up of two Cabos, Cabo San Miguel and Jose del Cabo. And every Thursday night, there's an art walk, so the streets are closed down, and you can go check out the art galleries and have some wine and cheese, and then go to a great restaurant. The one I'd recommend around there is called La Lupita, Taco y Mezcal. All they do is tacos and mezcal and have live music, and I think you won't have a better time.
That's all we need.
Let's go, Maru. Come on. The airport will be soon. We can just hop down.
Yeah.
Well, thank all of you for coming today. Maru, thank you for
thank you,
leading the questions. Anything Mexico, I always call Maru, because not only does she live there, but she's actively participating, I would say.
I suggest we do this in person next time.
Yeah, let's do that. I wish.
Oh.
Right? We're almost there.
Right.
Yeah.
And Larry, Glenn, you guys are wonderful.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Nice seeing you all.
You too.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you, for the interview. And Larry, it was great talking to you again, and meeting video to video finally.
We will follow this up with an in-person, as Maru suggested, very soon.
Perfect.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you for everything.
Bye.
And if any of you have any questions, I can personally attest to the fact that Larry and Glenn are very easy to communicate with. They'll be happy to help you. If you have clients who are interested, that they're happy to help you with that as well. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.